it feels so gross. Oh, come on, really? That's a smell and a half. I'm Melissa, and I'm updating this really hard to clean kitchen countertop and replacing this grungy looking sink. So far, I've cleaned the tile grout, removed the sink, and now it's time to prep for epoxy. Come hang out with me. Let's see how it goes. The first step in our Prep-A-Palooza day is to see if I can lift this stove lid. Why? Basically, so I won't get epoxy all over it. I'll tell you all about that later. In the meantime, let's get started. Without knowing any better, I'm going to try to see if I can just lift it up first. Hopefully, I won't break my stove in the process. I see screws here. Man, I need to replace these pans too. Okay. Can you see that? It's attached to a little wire there. I hopefully can just pull it out and it will be fine. Gloves. Okay. You know, maybe, oh, of course there's going to be one. Mother. I'm going to try my drill. Generally, for small screw jobs like this, I usually like to just do it by hand because I think with the drill, you can strip the heads a little more easily. See all these different little screw heads here? These are Phillips, by the way. I used to think a Phillips head screwdriver was basically all the same. I didn't realize that there's little differences in height and depth and angle of these, so that they're all designed to fit screws a little differently. The best way to get the screw out is to make sure that the Phillips head screwdriver will fit snugly into this screw. This one, see how it's so long and narrow? See how it's a little wiggly? It's not as good. I think this one's the best one right here. This one feels the best. Go. Gosh, power. Okay, there we go. Okay, ugh. Okay, Jesus, that's in there good. Do I have to get pliers? Motherfucker. All right. What was I saying? Come out. There we go. Okay. Can I lift this up? Ooh. Feels loose. All right, what I'm thinking is there's a clip. Is there a clip somewhere that's holding this in? Oh. What I'm discovering is while I can lift the lid, it still overlaps along this edge here. So I really can't put the epoxy in because I can't create a safe barrier between it and the stove. So I'm going to have to pull it out. How do I do this? How do you move a stove? Back to the internet. Okay, what I saw on the internet is basically you lift up and pull. It's just a brute force kind of thing. So, right. And they say there's like maybe a bracket back there that you have to be careful about. Okay. We're in there. Oh, okay. Oof. Foot. Oh, shit. Let's pull the door off. Wow. I feel like if this was an archaeological dig, they would know that we ate a lot of spaghetti. Why are there M&Ms in there? Look at that. What does that mean? Good news is I got the stove pulled away. Bad news is I don't really think I can continue until I clean it. Is it normal to have like a big piece of like board under a stove? I mean, do I need this? Should I put this back when I'm done? Or can I just get rid of it? I don't even know where to begin, honestly. Okay. I feel like this whole thing derailed me a little bit. So what's next? I have more cleaning to do. Clean it with TSP, which I guess is a really good degreaser. Rinse twice, then wipe with like an acetone. I got a sand. Okay, I got a lot to do. So it's just iced tea. I promise. I haven't used this in a while. Half a cup of this and 2 gallons of hot water. Okay, I don't need that much. Maybe just like a tablespoon. We'll give that a shot. You down with TSP? Yeah, you know me. Oh, look. Oh, the quarter cup measuring cup. We have been looking for this forever. See, everything turns up eventually. That's fine. And once again, boy, I'll be so glad when I have a sink in here. All right, well stirred. What did I do with my gloves? You saw them, right? I had gloves here. I don't know why I took them with me, just to confuse myself. Oh, so happy. Okay, I don't know. I guess I just like put this on here, let it sit. No puddles. I'm going to use these little Swedish dishcloths. What's great about these is, and weird too, but is that they're stiff at first, right? They seem like they wouldn't be good at all to wipe things down with. But once you get them wet, look at that. It's really good for wiping things down. So I use those Swedish ones for wiping. I like to use these, not a paper towels, to dry. So I find these two work best together. These are really good at when something's wet, just soaking up all of that moisture. Okay. And they can also be laid out to dry overnight if they're not too dirty. These can live another day, I think. One set of instructions said that I should sand these tiles. Oh, do I really need to do that? I mean, I'm pretty sure this grout is pretty raw. There's no sealer on it at this point. Is the worry that the epoxy won't adhere to the tile? I tell you, the prep work is 90% of any job. You really have to have patience for the prep. Okay, oh, tight squeeze. Can you even see me? Before I take my electric sander to this entire surface, since I'm not really sure what that's going to do to the tile itself, I'm just going to, by hand, sand one of these tiles in kind of an inconspicuous area, like this far corner, which is always covered by like a toaster or spices, to see if it's going to damage the look of the tile, because I don't know. Let's try it and see. It doesn't seem to be damaging the look of the tile. You know, I'm not that strong. Maybe an electric sander is going to do a lot more, but I can go slowly and lightly. And if it makes the epoxy adhere a little better, then that'll be good. Okay, got my sander. I've had this forever. Still works. You know, maybe you should wear goggles and a mask. I don't know if it's going to kick up that much dust. Let's just see it and see what happens. And if it looks like it's kicking up a lot of stuff, I'll put something on. was a waste of time or not. If you know, let me know in the comments. I think at the very least, even if it didn't need this, I did notice little flecks of things coming off in here and there. So it was not a complete waste of time. The instructions said I needed to vacuum, but I don't really think there's going to be much to vacuum. I think wiping is going to be fine. So that's what I'm going to do. No, 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 no. Oh, baby. I don't want any kitty hairs. I know. All right. Oh, tight squeeze. The next thing I need to do is start preparing for the epoxy by taping up plastic around the edges to protect it. I'll need my tape, some weather stripping, and this plastic sheeting that has this little tape top edge to it. The weather stripping I'm going to use to create like a little dam around here. The other thing I'm not quite sure about is why I need to mask off the backsplash. It was recommended that I do that. In my mind, I'm going to pour a flood coat of epoxy that self-levels. So why do I need to protect the backsplash? It's not going to go any higher than how I pour it, but I'm going to do it anyway. There's probably something I don't know, and I'll discover in the doing of it as to why it's important to tape off the backsplash at least an 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch high. Oh, Jesus. I'm just going to follow the top of this lip. You see that lip? You know this lip? I'm going to go from the top of that to where the top of this grout line is, just before the tile begins. I'm going to try to seal some of these edges with this, but man, it's so rough right here. And like the tile was just sort of chipped. So I honestly don't know how well of a barrier I'm going to be able to get. What I'm looking for now is if I can see any cracks, see if there's like any holes, because yeah, see like right there, there's a gap. That just means that the epoxy is going to flow through that. I'm trying to press it in really, really tightly to make it adhere well. I'm hoping that won't bite me in the rear end later. Most of this will be covered by either the stove or the sink. So, you know, if it's not perfect, I won't mind because it's clearly not perfect already. I just don't want to lose epoxy down into there or off these edges. Now I tape. Mostly, this has got such an overhang, I don't have to really worry about getting epoxy on the cabinets, but I do want to protect the floor. These are great, but I forgot there's like a sharp edge right here, which is where you you know, like cut it off. Like if you had aluminum foil, one of those little boxes or something like that. So when I was dragging it like this, I was ripping it along the way. Don't do that. I don't know why I find it so much easier to press this down when I've got gloves on. What is going on? See how this is all floaty? I'm going to tape this down so that it doesn't get too far under this overhang, so that if it drips, you know, it's not going to get on the floor. One last sort of dry wipe down, and then the tack cloth. But first, I gotta lock these babies up. I can't have you traipsing through the epoxy. You wouldn't like it, neither would I. All right, put you away. Hold on. I know. And him too. Ooh, but you shed a lot. All right, we're all taped up. I'm just gonna give this one final wipe down just to get any final, I don't know, bits of dust or hair, because that can only do so much. We're gonna use tack cloth. And you wanna know why they call it tack cloth? I didn't know. Because it's tacky. Not tacky, but like sticky. Ugh. Anti-static cloth to remove dust and fine particles. Oh, it feels so gross. Now wash this off. I'm one of those people that if my hands get sticky, it gives me a lot of anxiety. I'm gonna go put my gloves on. Okay. This is much better. Dang, this stuff is hard to work with. Stick cloth would be better. But you could see how good this would be at picking up, you know, fine cat hairs, if you will. And that's what I'm trying to do. If you live with pets, cat hairs aren't just on your cat, on your clothes, on your furniture, they're in the air. Do I have to wipe down this again after I've done this with the tack cloth? I mean, is this stickiness going to be a problem? Why does it, when I look up stuff on the internet, feel like people assume I know so much more than I do? If you got any advice, any tips and tricks for using this tack cloth, let me know. I suppose I should look it up. Okay, I got kind of conflicting information from the internet. It said if you've used a tack cloth, you shouldn't need to wipe it down. In fact, don't, because you could reintroduce dust and fine particles to the surface unless you're using one that's particularly sticky and not a high quality one. So I don't know if this is any more sticky than any of the others. I know I've had it for a really long time. I do know that it does feel sticky when I touch it. So I'm just gonna wipe it down a little bit with this acetone. Yeah, I can even see it on there. You know what? I should use a microfiber cloth because this could introduce more hairs. I'll be honest, I don't know that I can find anything that doesn't have hairs on it. Oh, it can smell like fingernail polish remover. Oh yeah. This is why I don't get my nails done. Don't let me forget, there's a gap. It dries fast, that's good. Alrighty. That's a smell and a half. Can I just throw this in the washing machine? The gaps. There's someone over here, right? Oh yeah. Am I introducing more hair potentially to this area? Yeah, probably. Should do it. All of this is in preparation for the main event, pouring the epoxy. It's a lot that goes into getting to the fun part. It's also the super scary part, but it's also exciting because of that. So, well, that took a lot more time than I thought it was, but that's because prep is a priority. It takes 90% of any job. I'm making that up, but I'm gonna go with it because that is really almost more important than the actual project itself. Prep involves research, talking to people, getting all of your supplies in order. Lists have been made. Prep is important, but it is over. And so now I get to cross that off the list. One of the things that turned out to be trickier than I thought was the stove. And a couple of things I probably could have been more careful with was the gas line. It was right in the way. I could have disconnected it. I didn't. Let me know if that was a huge mistake. I'm happy to hear from you. I think it was fine. It worked out for me. I was very careful stepping around it. Another thing is when I took off the stove burners, there are actual live wires in there, and they are covered in plastic, so I felt that I was pretty safe. But you need to be careful about that sort of thing. If you're going to do anything with the stove, removing the burners, pulling it away, research gas lines, whether it's a gas or an electric stove, how that works together, and be super careful. But that's it. I'm prepped. So the next step is to apply the epoxy. I'm a little nervous, but also excited. And I'm actually really glad to have you guys along for the ride. So let's do it.